winning team members, I need your advice, okay? Because this is a dilemma I go through like literally every other week. Where do we draw the line with me sharing things and me sharing too much? Because I feel like the point is I don't want to do what's societally appropriate because I couldn't give a damn what's societally appropriate. In fact, I'm actively trying to do whatever it takes to not be considered to be societally appropriate because I think society is stupid. But I do think there has to be wisdom in all the things that God gives us to use, my mouth being one of them. And thus, I've been thinking, where do I draw the line with what I share on the internet with you guys, you know? Because like I've said, you're my people, so you guys are really the only people I feel, let's use the word safe, to share with. And I honestly do feel safer in just the general world than I do people I've known personally. That's why, like, I love doing things solo, like when I go out to shows by myself or I take myself out alone for meals all the time. I like it. So a lot of times, sometimes, I befriend people like strangers, and I love befriending strangers. We don't know each other from Adam. You don't know anything to do with my past, my anything. So I feel like I just get to be a human, which is kind of like you guys on YouTube. I get to be like a human. So I prefer being around strangers and people I know. Because I also feel like people that know you, they try really hard to like shove you into a box of whatever box of what they want to perceive you like. And I really hate that. Anyway, and so I'm now thinking, when is it too much? Is there a too much? Or isn't there? Because if I really can just share whatever I want to share, right? I really will just share it. Like I don't have regrets, like, of sharing stuff with you guys on the internet. In fact, YouTube is one of the few life decisions I don't regret. I regret going into teaching. I regret trusting a whole lot of people. I regret a lot of things in my life. But YouTube and my videos, even the ones I've taken down, not a regret, because I had an authentic journey with some lovely folks along the way, and we've got a lovely community going on, and I think that's awesome. In fact, oftentimes, can I be really real as well for a second? Let me sit down over here for a second. A lot of times, do you know what actually does frustrate me as well? Sorry guys, I'm such a shiny face because I'm super hot. Because why am I wearing a hoodie? Well, because guys, as I've said before, listen, I have to pick and choose my battles. With the way that my boobs are set up, I just couldn't be bothered with the amount of attention. Like, it's really annoying. So I'd rather sweat like this, but then it still does give me an excuse to shower again, so it's not too bad. But anyway, and you might think it's not that deep. Trust me, it is. So what was I going to say? One thing that kind of bothers me, and it's another thing I don't know if I have a right to feel a way about. You see, I'm trying to figure out what my rights are in this life, is when how people don't take YouTube seriously, but like, now that I'm like making friends and like my life's changing a little bit, I feel like sometimes people act as though they're struggling to understand me. And the fact is, they're not really taking the time to think about what I'm actually saying. YouTube is one of them. Because YouTube for me is one of the biggest parts of my life, right? And I purposely don't talk about it with certain people for certain reasons. And in fact, I don't talk about it with a lot of people in general unless I'm trying to like form a proper relationship with them, because it's so important to me. Like, that's the degree. So then, like, sometimes I feel like people are like, feel like they can't really get to know me, and I'm like, well, I can't really talk to you about something that's like the biggest part of my life, because it doesn't seem that you really get that it's a really big, important part of my life. Like, I wouldn't even be considering these relationships with other people if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't have become the woman that I've become if it wasn't for you guys. So it's not like a small thing. It's not like a little side, like, not even about side hustle or anything like that. It's like, this is the core of what's encouraging me to like do what I'm doing in life, and is keeping me encouraged. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, right? Oh my goodness, why do I feel emotional all of a sudden? I've been just crying a lot, to be fair. I was thinking about this earlier, that like, you know, part of the reason I really keep talking about how much I hate being on this planet, I hate being alive, is just because I feel like there's all these issues and there's all these things we're facing and the world is just going downhill and we're doing nothing about it. And I just want this to be a revolution. I want us to stand up. I want us to like take things seriously. I want us to, you know, and so you guys genuinely are such an inspiration in that area to me, because like, where are we going to go with this camera? You guys are genuinely such an inspiration to me, because this is actually crazy. You guys are actually genuinely an inspiration to me, because I'm like, there's these people who they get it. And like that alone makes me feel like, you know what, maybe brighter days are ahead, like genuinely. And so that's also why I want to share more, because I feel like I kind of got here by not overthinking what I say. Because in the beginning, I didn't really think that, like, as I've said before, it's unwise to post anything online and assume that it's not going to get traction, because it could, and then you don't want to find yourself in a situation like one of my favorite UK female, I would call her a comedian, Grace, right? Her name's Grace. She has a podcast called Saving Grace. She's a hilarious girl. And she basically got famous because during lockdown, when she thought everyone was going to die, she just started sharing wild stories about herself on TikTok, and she like blew up, which is, I love her. I think she's one of the funniest of the girlies, her and Faith Kelly. I love Faith Kelly. Faith Kelly is so funny. There's a good number of them. But anyway, and I always think how funny that is, that she kind of, you know, you can tell that now she's like kind of accepted the life she's lived and everything that's happened, but she hadn't really necessarily planned that she was gonna have to deal with the long-term consequences. This is just what I'm saying about like posting videos. So I'm aware of that, and I don't post things without that in mind. But I feel like now because I've had more time doing videos and stuff, now I'm starting to wonder, like I'm starting to overthink now, because it's like I don't want to be stopped for the sake. I don't care what people think, basically. It's not about what people think. It's about wisdom and walking in wisdom. Because as I said, when God gives us things, whether that's physical things, whether that's resources, whether that's time, whether it's our mouths, our eyes, our ears, our legs, whatever he's given us, we have to be wise in how we use it. So I want to be wise. I don't know. As I'm saying this stuff to you guys, I'm honestly erring more on the side of I'm just going to share even more than I already share. To be so honest with you, because I just feel like that's just who I am. Like I don't want to be one of these people like who tries to like airbrush everything or only show. Like I've told you guys, Trisha Paytas is my favorite like YouTuber of all time, and it is because we've seen her in every season of her life, when she used to be sitting on the kitchen floor crying, and she identified as a chicken nugget for a little while, and you know she's been through the craziness, right? But now look at her. She's on tour. She's touring around. She's been on SNL, which I think is insane. All of a sudden, she's about to have her third child. Like, even though I remember her crying that she was never going to have kids. She wasn't going to be able to because of, you know, some STDs she caught because she was sleeping with another guy from Tinder every other day. And all this stuff, right? And I'm just like, that's why I find her inspirational, to be honest. Because I feel like you got to see a real life journey of somebody actually go from not just the people that pridefully start a perfectly organized podcast with a perfectly looking studio 10 years, 20 years after their old life. Like I hate how Christians talk about their old life. Like we're not still battling every day and still having to work out salvation in fear and trembling, still having to pursue the Lord, go through healing and deliverance as part of a lifestyle. I hate this whole thing of that. Like obviously things change. Like my life is always changing and I'm always progressing, like, you know, and becoming closer to the Lord, and things are always changing about me. But it's not like I'm going to act as if like yesterday I used to be a human and today I'm a saint. It's no, I am a saint and I'm also a human. You know what I'm saying? So that makes me just think I should just post more, to be honest, because I feel like I've spent so much of my life trying to airbrush things or being expected to or forced to, that now I just don't want to. But the problem that I'm facing is when I get critique about doing that, is it that people are coming from a place of like maybe God is trying to actually speak through them to give me wisdom, or is it coming from a place where they just hate him because they're uncomfortable? Because I do think there's a certain extent to the whole thing where some people I do think are just so uncomfortable with the idea that somebody can be that comfortable with who they are that they would share intimate things to that extent. And I just really am. What have I got to hide? Because my thing is always, if I'm going through it, somebody else is probably going through it. And like, if I'm going through it and somebody else is going through it, and if somebody else is struggling and I'm struggling, is it going to help us all to just sweep it under the carpet? No. Look at the state of the world from us sweeping things under the carpet. It's going to be better for us to just talk about it, right? It's going to be better for us to like address it, so then we can like kind of, you know, figure out a solution together. And if I have to be the first crazy that speaks up, that's okay with me, because if it means that in the long run we're all going to be better off, then I feel like I've contributed well to society. And you know what's funny? Even though I complain about the world, I didn't realize that contributing to society is actually something I do find to be important to me, that I do want to feel like I'm contributing productively to the world around me. I really do. I want to feel like, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, I feel like I've talked myself, but I want to know from you guys who, especially if you've been here for a long time, I want to know from you guys, like, what do you think? Do you think I should just rip off the Band-Aid and just go go guns blazing, full steam ahead? Or do you think I should, because I just feel like, even just in thoughts, every time I think the thought of like, let me hold back, let me like draw back, I just keep thinking, but now I just feel like I'm pandering to the world. I feel like I just like these other people on the internet. Like, and I was thinking about this, like all the most successful people in the world are the most airbrushed lives. Why do you think the likes of Beyonce is where she is, or Taylor Swift, or some of these other influencers? I don't want to call out specific influencers because it's not it's because I don't judge them for it. But why do they have the success they have? Because they're so far removed from society. They're so inaccessible that they're far from. It's hard to critique them, therefore it's hard to hate them, therefore it's easy for people to support them, therefore it's easy for them to be as successful as they are, because you don't really know what Beyonce's eating throughout the day. You don't really know a lot of details about them, right? So it's one thing to comment on somebody you see on social media, and it's another thing when they're just so far removed. And I do think that contributes, that like the more you do share, the more you open yourself up. But then do I care? And then like, how do I decipher when people are giving me good and helpful constructive criticism versus just either being haters or being so addicted to living like the world? Because obviously in the world, part of the reason why people say, oh, you shouldn't talk about this, or you shouldn't be messy or whatever, it's actually not about being messy at all, I don't think. I think it's people's internal fears, like, let's not start talking about the truth. Let's not start talking about the uncomfortable things. Let's not start talking about the things that we try not to talk about with anyone. Because if somebody, like, you know, like, it's like if somebody opens their mouth and we have to address this, that means I'm going to have to address things within myself that I don't want to have to address. So rather than doing that, I'm going to have to address things within my community or or the world itself that I don't want to have to address. So rather than like doing that, I rather just like nitpick and villainize the person who's doing it. And as long as we do it as a group, then we think it's the right thing. So that's what I feel like. I feel like that's the herd mentality thing of like, well, we're all just going to choose that this societally normal to just sweep everything under the carpet, anything that hurts anybody. It's like this country, and they're paying for it now. Oh, talk about religion and politics is not politically correct. Well, guess what's affecting you highly now? Religion and politics. And guess who are the least equipped to deal with these situations? The average individual here. And guess who's laughing away, taking advantage of your ignorance and your lack of courage to talk about the difficult things? The people in power. The people making the decisions on your life, the people causing the very problems you're going to then be complaining about. Do you see what I'm saying? And all these things. It's those people. But then we all feel justified or whatever. You know, we don't talk about religion and politics. Blah, 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 blah. Why not? And also, why are you so offended? Why do we have to work so hard to all think the same thing? That's why I love you guys over here. Because I feel like you guys on the winning team, since we normalized from the beginning that we don't all have to agree, but we can just show each other mutual respect, I feel like that's why this works. We're like an unusual type of group of people, I feel like, in this day and age, where we can actually fundamentally disagree with certain things and even live differently, but we can still all like get on and respect each other and love each other regardless, because it's not about agreeing about everything. It's about the fact that we're all on the winning team. We're all here. We all have our part to play, and we're all showing each other respect. So anyways, you guys give me your thoughts on that whole situation. But I'm just thinking, because I go through these like ebbs and flows in these times where I'm like, is it time? I feel like I could feel a shift, and I'm like, God, is this a shifting in where you want me to like speak less or do less? I'm not really sure. Or is it a time where you want me to do more? I just can't really tell just yet. So I thought I would come to you guys because you guys are the people who I trust. Anyways, if life's the game was paid to win, God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye. This thing has not even stopped recording, and I've just noticed as well. Why is there always car accidents happening on this road? There's like broken sign here, broken sign over there around that corner. That looks like a piece of a car. Like there's always car accidents happening on this road. Anyway,